For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little tall on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From the original Walk-Ons Burbank at Nicholson, welcome to the Wednesday edition Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio, and Randy McKay with us today, Scott Rabelais, Wes Reynolds, consensus golf picks for the players. And as I'm going to be able to say most of the days for the next 2 weeks, basketball on our
Walk-Ons
TV.
week continues here on a Wednesday. Walk-Ons Wednesday, Walk-Ons week today and tomorrow. Open air, Charlie. This is a covered patio.
We are outside. You can see the background. We're a little bit silhouetted on YouTube today.
We're on enough.
You can see the what you want to see is the beautiful grassy area outside the patio area. This is about as good a weather as you can ask for to come in here and have lunch, have a cold one, and watch the basketball.
Students coming to and from, just watching the traffic come, back and forth to campus, man. So good stuff. Good stuff. So excited, man.
Yeah, championship week. It feels like the beginning is kind of like the appetizers, Monday and Tuesday. You get some of the smaller leagues and some of them even finishing up their tournaments, but and a couple of the big tournaments started yesterday with the preliminary rounds. But it feels like just about everybody is getting started today. Richmond and Davidson already underway here at 11 o'clock as we tip off with Virginia and Georgia Tech in the ACC. That's in Charlotte.
Yeah, they tipped off at 10:30.
Richmond and Davidson.
Yeah. 11 o'clock. You got Virginia and Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Cincinnati. Oh, they got off of ESPN Plus today. They decided to put the Big 12 on the regular TV today.
You playing your you playing your team that has already had a game under its belt against one that hasn't, catching what was 9.5 points now is 8.5.
Strong consideration for sure. Oh, I like Cincinnati. Yes.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good yesterday, huh? We hit that one.
We did hit that one. It was one of those. All right, so tale of two games yesterday. Both of them were rematches from Saturday.
Yeah.
Cincinnati had gotten blown out. Not blown out. Well, they lost by double digits at Oklahoma State. And then it was an 11-point game on Saturday. They came back. They tip at 6.5.
Yes, 6.5 pretty much everywhere.
And they won the game very, very easily. On the other hand, Colorado on Saturday had won only their third Big 12 game of the season, and they had won it by 20 against TCU. TCU was the favorite. Colorado beat them for the second time. This game much, much closer, but they were the underdog. So
I like TCU. Bet TCU lost. They were behind. They had to scramble back up at half, but then fell behind. Very similar to the Central Florida-Utah game last night. It's close at half, and then Central Florida just started second half. And just, man, next thing you know, they're up 14-16. It's kind of a similar thing with Colorado and TCU. Colorado scrambled. They had a chance, a little bit of a chance to try and maybe tie it. I mean, last couple seconds or get within a bucket, and just too much. So, Colorado hangs on. So, 14-8 to the unders. There was some, these are the weaker teams that played on Tuesday, the lower seeded teams from the conferences. And but there was no game uglier offensively than the top two seeds from their conference last night.
Gonzaga wins again.
Wins again.
20th time.
Oh, well, won that. Yeah, because they lost the first two games.
Lost this season. They lost the game.
And so when you the third time, things like that. We talked about the women. It's yes, of course. If you win the first two games, you're usually the stronger team. Okay, but two March Madness memories I have, as far as teams lost 3 times to their opponent and beat them in the tournament.
I know one of them.
Both were in regional finals.
Yeah, I know one of them is
back-to-back years.
Oh, wait a minute. I may have this. One of them is NC State in '83.
No. No. They because NC State had beaten them.
Virginia?
NC State had beaten them, both Virginia and North Carolina, in the Manda.
In the ACC tournament.
ESPN 2 right here, brother. On the second one. No, NC State, I'm talking about 3 times they lost.
Okay, well, then I know one of them.
Because NC State won the ACC tournament to get in.
All right,
so they had beaten North Carolina and Virginia back-to-back.
I'm going to say I know one for the second time because I missed out. The LSU in 87.
86.
86, they beat Kentucky in the regional final?
Yes,
okay.
to go to the Final Four.
That's right.
In the Summit.
Right. I'm thinking 87 was the year they lost.
87 is the other year it happened.
Okay, well, it wasn't LSU because they lost to Indiana and Cincinnati that year. It
was the regional final, too.
Kansas. That was Danny and the Miracles. No, that was the next year.
Who was in the
88.
Final Four in New Orleans?
That was Indiana, Syracuse, UNLV, and Providence.
Mm-hmm.
And who lost 3 times to somebody? It would have to be Providence.
Very good, Charlie.
Billy Donovan running the point.
Good.
I can work my way through it.
That old noggin's still working,
I can talk my way through it.
That's it.
I feel like the bonus round at Wheel of Fortune. If you just talk your way through it.
That's the fun part about clues. You sniff it, and then you see if you're sharp enough to get it. You got it.
I don't know.
You think UNLV lost to somebody 3 times in
their
conference? Of course.
If I remember right, they were 34-2 overall that year.
They were favored over Indiana in that game.
Now,
Indiana was favored over Syracuse. They actually did not cover in that game, winning by 1. But yes, Providence and Billy Donovan. That was first year of the 3-point. He must have been like 1 of 18 in the Superdome that day. I mean, that is a tough adjustment to make with those shooting dimensions, in that area. And but I tell you, one player he didn't hurt. Steve Alford. Now, he won it. I mean, they don't win it without a 3-point line. And that's funny because Knight certainly wasn't, shifting everything he did. But UNLV was favored in that semifinal, and they were the 3-point team, and Banks was their best 3-point shooter. And Alford outshot him, brother. And Syracuse played as good of a game as they could play on Monday night in the championship. Coleman, Cycli, Sherman Douglas, Stevie Thompson. I mean, everybody played good. But Bobby Knight, just as he did in the regional final in Cincinnati, put a freshman on the line for a 1-and-1 when they were down 1, less than a minute to go. And LSU missed the front end of a 1-and-1. It was a freshman that missed it. And then in the championship game, he down 1, late, maybe 15, 20 seconds maybe. He put a freshman on the line by the name of
Derek Coleman.
He missed it, and Keith Smart from McKinley hits the jumper. But, Providence beat Georgetown in the regional final for the first time. It blew them out.
Yeah.
It was they had lost, and Georgetown was considerable favorites in that, So it was, of course, the coach, Patino's first Final Four.
It was. The Steve Alford thing, a lot of people said, well, they put the rule in. They called it the Steve Alford rule because he was the best shooter in college basketball that year. He was one of the best shooters in the history of college basketball as far as I'm concerned. In that final against Syracuse, he did not make a 2-point basket.
Oh, is that right?
He made, I think it was 6 or 7 threes and then a bunch of free throws, but he did not make a 2-point basket in that final. kind of one of the odder stats. But Alford was on that '84 Olympic team as a freshman. That was the Jordan, Ewing, Wayman Tisdale group. I mean, they didn't get as much hype as the Dream Team would 8 years later, but they blew out the competition every bit as much. The Russians had boycotted that year. And Alford made that team as a freshman, primarily why? Because he could shoot and he could get some of those teams out of the zone. And 4 years later, when the Olympics were in Seoul and John Thompson was the coach and his best shooter was Hersey Hawkins. And when Hawkins got hurt, they didn't have anybody who could beat the Soviet zone, and they packed it in on them. Danny Manning was on that team. David Robinson was on that team. But the Soviets packed it in with Arvydas Sabonis, and the Americans, without Hawkins, did not have anybody who could shoot over it. So a little Olympic history.
Arvydas Sabonis, one of my favorite players, man.
I wish we could have seen him in his prime.
So
many of those games played behind the Iron Curtain.
A lot of Joker type of, like eyes behind the head type of pass is just so fun to watch. So slick with his hands for a big game. But nobody's bitching and complaining about Billy Donovan missing all kinds of threes in the Superdome in that March game in the Superdome. If you watched the game last night, because Gonzaga and St. Mary's combined for 1 for 31 from the free. I got to be fair today.
Gonzaga made the one because
I got to be fair because I kind of said, man, does this kind of put a damper on this women's basketball, because women's basketball has kind of hit a little bit of a spurt, and some people are loving it, and some people are like, come on, I'm sorry, it doesn't entertain me. It's okay. It's okay. When Texas and Georgia played, and Georgia scored like 20 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
20,
this is one that, like, okay,
right.
If you want to defend women's basketball, 1 for 31 for your number one, you need two seeds in the conference. 1 for 31.
Yeah, that's
damn.
That's ugly. That's like there's a lid.
It's not that far
on the basket. This year's
and there was some bricks. The announcers were supposed to be supportive of going.
No,
that was rough.
It was. The women's tournament ratings are likely to be down this year, even though it may be a more competitive. Caitlin Clark's not here, but this is a more competitive tournament. I mean, there's legitimately 7 or 8 teams that could win it on the women's side, but there's no Caitlin Clark, so she was a ratings draw unlike.
I'm just going to tell you, you fly.
Do I fly?
You fly in airlines. Yeah. Most people do, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You rather fly commercial or charter?
I can.
So when those girls start
I can list the charter flights
on that girl, when they start
hand.
hating on that girl, she is the one that got that changed.
Right. She got you.
I was with
TSA lines.
I was with Surat and some others, and we were going to San Diego, connecting flight in Dallas.
Yeah.
And so the Phoenix Mercury was hanging out in the same little restaurant bar. Okay? Diana Taurasi, funny. Even a little exchange with her. But they were in a connecting flight commercial. They weren't, every time, I wish, go back to flying commercial. Getting you connected flight, see if you make it or you don't, seeing the airlines. Well, I don't care if you're Diana Taurasi or not, or whoever. Like, hey, quit hating on that girl.
TSA doesn't
quit hating on that girl. Yeah. Now, I still don't think she deserved to be first team all WNBA. It's fine. She led the league in assists, but she led the league in turnovers too. Just whatever. I thought she was a notch below that, but she's going to be good. I should not know this. They hazed the hell out of her. They guarded her really hard. They targeted her, and that's fine because she's a finesse player at this point. She got to get a little bit physically strong. I don't know if she has the build to do so, but she didn't quit competing, and I don't think she is.
You know why I don't?
But I don't. In my book, and I watch more, and I'm not an expert, but I watched way more WNBA than ever before last season. Bet more women's basketball than my life combined. And she wasn't one of the best 5 players in the league.
That's why I'm not challenging your opinion on it, because I know for a fact you watched way more women's basketball than me last year. I know this without.
And you know what? I could listen to an argument if you want to do this. Whatever. She changed her game. She led the league in assists.
Pretty good.
She. I get that, but She missed a lot of shots too. So
SEC tournament starts at noon today. First game is South Carolina and Arkansas. ACC second
who you
game.
like there?
I
Is
like
Arkansas safe?
I like Arkansas. Yeah, I think Arkansas is safe.
With a loss to South Carolina?
This would be 2 losses to South Carolina inside of, a week and a half.
Where's the NET right now?
46, I believe.
Okay, 40 is all you got to say. They ain't safe. I think they're in. I think they can afford a loss, but you don't know.
They're in today.
Charlie, they got to play
30,
a game.
I'm sorry, 39 after last night. So
they're going to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so can they afford a loss?
Yeah, but I'd be nervous. I would say it's more likely they make it.
We're on the same page.
They'd be nervous. South Carolina has been so bad away from home. I mean, at home, Columbia, they're a pain in the butt, but on the road, their average margin of defeat is into it's 17 or 18, I think. They played like 2 close games on the road all year. And this isn't a true road game, but they're not at home, so I like Arkansas.
We got to see with Auburn. I mean, a week ago, I'm like, man, Auburn's going to decompress here. And they did in College Station. But then they lose to Alabama. Bruce Pearl don't want to go into the tournament with 3-game losing streak, huh?
No,
or
he doesn't.
Loser of 3 or 4, huh?
No, he doesn't.
So I mean, they're different. But had they taken care of Alabama, had their exhale spot there, you wouldn't. I just feel like he's going to emphasize his tournament a little bit more than had they, if they didn't lose to Alabama.
Probably. How much, we'll see. The other key game today, for me, is 2. Oklahoma. They lose today to Georgia. It's going to be –
where's their NET?
What? Oklahoma's NET today is 47.
There you go.
And Texas is 42. That's the other game.
You in the 40s, you can't afford bad losses.
No. And Oklahoma, as we've been talking about a lot, 6-12 in the league, is coasting on those 3 big non-conference wins from back before Christmas. Is it enough? If they lose today, I'd be real nervous.
Avoiding these bad losses is probably more important than acquiring another quality win.
Yeah, they're still Q1 wins, but you're right. Losing to South Carolina would be tough for Arkansas.
Walk-ons week over here at the original Walk-ons. We're here today and tomorrow. We got action. 34-32 Davidson over Richmond in the 12 seed over the 13 seed in the Atlantic 10. We've got the Virginia and Georgia Tech are underway. The Wahoos, that's right, the Cavaliers are on top 10-8 over Georgia Tech. Closing line there at 1.5. Georgia Tech was favored. The new menu items are available over here at Walk-Ons. The ribeye sliders, pepper jack, boudin balls, the warm turkey milk. I had that over across the river at the Bruley Walk-Ons on Monday. The Havarti turkey burger and the Mardi Gras salmon. I guess I'll knock those 2 out, the turkey burger and the salmon, the next 2 days over here at Walk-Ons. Come on by and see us, man. Sweat in action, checking it out. Open air. It's a beautiful day. What are you doing? Work, smirk. Come on, come see us. Live at lunch, live at Walk-Ons, Charlie.
Walk-Ons week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand. LouisianaSports.net, 104.5, ESPN.com. You get us on YouTube. We're outside here at Walk-Ons today. The original Burbank at Nicholson. Watching college basketball as tournament week continues. Jimmy, before we have Randy on at the bottom of the hour, and, of course, our regular golf picks. Rabelais with us on Wednesdays. But I want to take a minute just some of the free agent moves that have been made in the last
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton. You know, what gets me is how many teams are in what would be a similar mode from their fans' perspective to what the Saints are, which is don't try to win a little bit. Try to win a lot. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Number one, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers have been in the playoffs, many times under Mike Tomlin. The non-losing streak is well documented, but they haven't won a playoff game in almost a decade. And the idea that they could bring in Aaron Rodgers for a year. The reaction of the Pittsburgh fans was, no, we're tired of going 10-7.
Really?
We're tired
really?
of going 9-8. And
I didn't hear that.
If Aaron Rodgers gets us to, they're not wild about Russell Wilson either, but the fatigue.
But Rodgers would have given him more of a chance, I think.
And he still
That's my
may.
opinion.
They haven't done this yet, but the response to it was a little surprising to me. It reminded me a little bit of how Saints fans got with Jim Mora at the end, which was you can get us in the playoffs and you can be good, but we're not going to win anything.
You don't think it's the Steelers that kind of that rugged type of fan base, that loyal fan base, and I think it's intertwined with the style. What is the style? It's tough physical
football. Yeah,
tough.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
Them in Baltimore.
All right, so they're tough. Their fans are kind of tough. They don't want to deal with it. I mean, the nonsense, Rodgers' nonsense. You don't think that's a turnoff?
It is.
Or you think it's just a 1 year, or both?
It's more about what I read, what I've
okay. Well, tell me, because I didn't know.
And Chris Massaro had made some posts about this because he's a
Patriots fan.
Patriots
he had his battles, a lot of battles in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Their frustration is more with Tomlin, which is it's basically,
hey, listen, Charlie,
we are stuck in 10-7, 9-8 purgatory. You bring in Rodgers for a year, that's fine. We'll probably go 10-7 again. Might go 11-6. Might win a division. Who knows if things fell right? But it's not a long-term fix, and we're kind of stuck here.
I think Tomlin is. Who was that? It's funny. Here you go. Tomlin is a Gennaro Pargo or a Carmelo Anthony, and what I'm saying is he can make bad teams competitive and give them a shot, but you ain't winning anything. You know what I mean? Now, they won one. Okay, they won one, and they won live.
That's a big deal.
But okay, all right. Well, he does better in the underdog role, or he is going to make. Man, how can they do this? That year when they rolled out Trubisky and Pickett and had a bad offensive line, I'm like, oh no, they won. They didn't win a record.
They still made it.
Yeah. Okay, how many times he's got this guy Duck quarterbacking or something against the Chargers one time. And they won. He's in a great. He's going to bring you to be respectable. It's not a perfect analogy. I get it, but it's just I don't trust him in the big spots. I feel he's going to cost me. When we go up against a stronger bench. He's cost them some games, a bunch with his game management. It's kind of sloppy, but then you don't have all the nonsense, and they're ready to play. It's like when you're going to beat them, it's not going to be an easy out, no matter how many guys are hurt or what their roster looks that particular day.
Yeah, it's more. I would put him a notch above these guys, but the frustration level, I'm going to give you a couple of older coaches that there was some frustration with this. Jim Mora is an obvious one, okay? The Saints won more games with Jim Mora than anybody else in the franchise history to that point by far.
What I hope
when they got to the fourth one, people had gotten frustrated.
Well, this is perfect because this is Mike Tomlin discussions are the worst for the program, the produce. Okay, you take this side, you take that side, because there's no slam dunk either way.
Right.
Because he's got a lot of good and he's got a lot of critical. In Mora, Mora took a horrible situation and made them way more competitive, and competitive every year, but couldn't win. So
I'm going to give you three. I'm going to give you three examples. You tell me if any of these who's the closest. Marty Schottenheimer.
Exactly.
But Schottenheimer doesn't have the Super Bowl, but he has a higher win.
Everything else.
Yeah. Dan Reeves, who took two teams
to
the
put
Super
Dan
Bowl.
Reeves. He brought the Broncos to. I give him more respect for bringing that Falcons team and going to Minnesota and beating that team. Minnesota would have been a favorite in the Super Bowl in Miami that year.
Yeah.
And not as long. I guess. I like the others better. But
okay.
Yeah.
Jeff Fisher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Jeff Fisher. When I looked this up,
how many times he got the Titans to the Super Bowl? To the playoffs.
About
6 or 7, huh?
The playoff. Let me see what his playoff record was. He was an 11 11 games in the playoffs. So he was
Okay.
5 and 6 in the playoffs.
So yeah, he went got 6 different times.
I remember that he stayed in Tennessee forever, but even I was surprised when I looked and saw. You know how many years that Jeff Fisher was a coach in the NFL, a head coach in the NFL, because he had that run with the Rams too. This surprised
How
me.
long Jeff Fisher was a head coach?
A head coach in the NFL.
20 years?
22 years in the NFL. And
why does that surprise you?
Because
he was there forever.
Because
at the Titans was about 18?
Because he won 51% of his games. In other words, he was basically a 500 coach, and he managed to stay a head coach for 22 years.
What did he inherit?
Well,
so he was.
I don't remember what he inherited. But after 22 years, it's your baby. You know,
the Titans were the Oilers, Charlie.
I know
they sucked when he took over. Okay,
he was there for 17 years. At some point, you got to quit blaming the previous administration. You know,
I get it, but Moore could have stayed. How long did Moore stay?
Moore was in New Orleans 9 years. No, 10 years.
And did he quit or got fired?
He quit, but he quit after that notorious game against the Panthers. You know.
But he could have stayed a little bit longer too.
To the end of the year,
I'm trying to make a comparison because he certainly could have gotten a job. Now he had the Stars
job. Yeah, he did.
That's right, with the Colts. And how many more years there?
He coached 5 years with the Colts. You know,
I mean, he could have stayed a few more years with the Saints. He'd have been 20.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Fisher just a little bit long. But Charlie, that was dude. The Oilers Titans stayed in Memphis for a year, and then they had to play in Vanderbilt for a year. I mean, this was they were just happy to have a team, and they were bad. Okay, and then they started winning, so it's just a little different. It was not a whole lot of
and he took
public.
He took a team to the Super Bowl in his 5th year.
You know what? Nashville football fans at that point were like, you think they had Vander was a winner too?
No.
Okay, so they all of a sudden they were the big dog. They're like Arizona State basketball. You see, because you get no public scrutiny there. Because are they as popular in that market as the Suns? No. As the Coyotes? No. As the Cardinals? No. As the Diamondbacks? No. I mean, so they are 5th, 6th, whatever. I mean, and then basketball. So nobody cares. That's why you can roll out there, and that's why when you're down 5 with 13, you don't even foul. You just quit. There's nothing that says we quit. Like we just go, not even try.
We fired Bobby Hurley yesterday.
No, but he's not.
You going to keep him?
The AD. You missed that. That was my point. The AD made a statement saying he would be back.
Oh, God bless. Okay. I didn't even get to Colts, who signed Daniel Jones, and they're like, why would we want to do that? Make us a little bit better. The Seahawks signing Sam Darnold, but getting rid of some of their better offensive personnel. The Raiders bringing in Geno Smith. It's their fan base. The number of fan bases that are just like New Orleans going, we're stuck. You know, stuck in different spots. Pittsburgh's stuck in the upper end of this. The Colts in the middle. The Saints and the Raiders at the bottom. Anyway, nobody's happy. It seems like in these NFL offers. The Patriots, they signed.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. Our great team: Ashley Bonham Donald, Mariana Broussard Haynes, Adrian Reese Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie Smith, and Bradford Smith. And, of course, our leader, Chad Reynolds. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title 296-0060.
Live at the original Walk-Ons, live at lunch. Walk-Ons Week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Virginia to a 3-point lead, 19-16 late in the first quarter, and Cincinnati and Iowa State have just tipped in Kansas City.
All right, let's see what a big dog is. Randy McKay, well, it's Walk-Ons Week, Champions Week. How you doing, Randy? Where you at today?
I'm doing real well. I'm still in Colorado here, enjoying some nice March weather and getting ready for the summer. But, getting ready for some of these basketball tournaments and got some bets today.
Oh, well, share. Let's go. Yeah, I got the pen in hand, pen and pad. Have a legal pad ready. Who we got? You got anything? First of all, you got anything on the Cincinnati-Iowa State game that just tipped 0-0?
Yeah, Cincinnati +9. It looks like they should have taken the under, too, if they haven't scored yet.
Yeah, it's early, but yes.
But,
Unders were profitable yesterday, huh?
Yeah, usually these tournaments too, when they get familiar matchups, you got to look at some of the unders, especially in some of these leagues here. It seems like some of these bigger buildings they shoot into, they have trouble with. That's kind of noted in the Final Four when they get in these domes too. So, I always look for under the total here in some of these college basketball games. Usually work out pretty well.
Yeah, I usually do, and Charlie knows this. I usually do first half of the first round games in the NCAA tournament, not including the teams that have played the play-in. The jitter factor. It's kind of the feeling of it. Kind of the Super Bowl under the first 6 minutes, no score, something like that. Where they kind of a little bit timid to make a mistake, and it was
a monster angle for years. The last couple.
No, last year was not great.
No.
Not great. The previous years was better. They're putting these things so low now, Randy. I mean, they're really, really low. So they're kind of on to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm still rattled from watching 1 for 31 from Las Vegas last night at the Orleans between St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was kind of a hard watch. I was watching some of that. Of course, I got a feature on Gonzaga, which doesn't look very good to win at all, but took that early in the year. But that's one of the features I got. So another thing about these unders, these morning games sometimes they start up pretty slow as well. So, we got a morning game going on now with Cincinnati and Iowa State, and then the Virginia game too.
Speak up a little bit if you don't mind, Randy. Let's get to your picks. Who are you on today?
Yeah, so that was one of them I had, the Cincinnati game. Yeah, sorry for that. I got that one. And another one, and it's kind of moved already, was UC Davis +3 versus this crappy Cal Poly team there in that league out west. So, looking at UC Davis was another one we played, and otherwise looking at a lot of in-game, like I said too, look for some trends here for the unders and the underdogs.
Okay, very good. UC Davis +3 against. Well, Cal Poly's down, huh? I did a game there actually when I was doing Southern. I like the town, but man, San Luis Obispo is. It's a cool little town, but they're not. It's down to 1.5. Now, would you still recommend it at 1.5, Randy?
Yeah, probably a pass. Now maybe look to bet that more in game. If you probably get a better line there. That's what I like to do if you can't get the number. We talked about unit sizing too, and some of these tournaments, especially the NCAA tournament, once it gets going, you kind of want to drop your units down. It's a little tougher racket to beat. Just be a little careful more. This time of year, at least, we have been in the past, and it's worked out okay. But if you see a number you like, and it moves against you, there's been times when I've double popped too. So I always look at your unit size and don't get too carried away in March, because usually these lines are the sharpest.
Gotcha. All right. What else are you on?
Yeah, not too much else as far as I got those futures there with Gonzaga not looking so great, but that was a big win. Probably maybe got them to a 7th seed, so they can avoid the number 1 seed in the second round. Maybe get a number 2 seed, so that'll be another path. Nebhard keeps playing like that. I mean, they got a chance to beat anybody with a good point guard like that. So he's one of the better point guards out there. So. They have a chance. And, of course, Michigan State is looking real well. That's looking like a number 2 seed. Look like they got it in the right time on that one. So, they look like the best team in the Big Ten right now. And we'll see what the Big Ten has to offer in a wide-open tournament there.
So, Michigan State, they lost that game midweek at home to Indiana. They were up double digits. Indiana switched to a zone, and it looked like they didn't know what hit them. and then they have won and covered the rest in a row. I forget what the streak is up to now. Max, see if you can see. But they're not coming. You're not coming close to sweating a bet. I mean, they are just they're beating the spread, and I'm a little surprised. Like, I was a little surprised on Sunday when that thing was about 7.5 at home against Michigan. They just beat them on the road. They're straight. Maybe were they a little celebratory because they just won. They clinched outright in that comeback against Iowa. Another game. Now that's one I guess that they could have lost. I mean, they were losing by half by 7.5 and still covered easily. Well, not easily, but by half a point. They were up 17 before it fell 7. But I mean, Michigan State is just, it's 7 in a row. 7 in a row. I mean, and they are just destroying people.
Yeah, it's a good sign for our future there, and Tom is a success there, and hopefully can make another big run here for us. So get that future, have a good shot anyway to at least monetize it, get it to the Final Four for sure, and and see where it goes from there. But that's kind of what you'd want to do there if you get a decent size, price there, and on some of these teams, of course, a lot of your SEC teams down there look like the class of the field, so it's going to be tough to beat them.
Randy, there's 4 teams playing today that are squarely on the bubble: Oklahoma, Texas, North Carolina, and Ohio State. Do you buy in to the idea that the teams that are on the bubble that need to win to get in, that the odds makers are baking that into the line, and there's a little bit of value on the teams going against these bubble teams today?
Yeah, I like to look against these bubble teams that you mentioned. Must win, equivalates and must not be very good. So look to go against those moves, especially. A lot of the public likes to jump in. Oh, they need to win this game. You hear that in the sports book a lot, but like I said before, must not be very good. And also, another one too that gets brought up is a third game against a certain team. When this team it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row, and that's actually not true. So if you hear that one, that's another one too. That usually the team that's playing to go 3-0 usually covers that as well.
And we asked that exact question last week to former odds maker, president of the Las Vegas Sports Consultant, Kenny White, and he said when they would have that team that's got to win in college basketball bubble time around this time, it'd be 1 point, very minimal. But they acknowledge that there'll be a chunk of some public action. Oh, they got to win. Oh no, they got to win. So that's it. We talked about one of those teams that are in right now. But any team in the 40s, which means bubble range, barely in. But they've got a game against South Carolina. We're talking about Arkansas against South Carolina. Arkansas won a couple of big games the last couple of games. But now, they've been within. They barely hung on. They survived those 2 missed shots, which both of them were very makeable for Mississippi State on Saturday afternoon. But we know about Boogie Flan. Boogie Flan's been out for a while, and then it kind of got back on. But Thiero is out again today. And so Flan was their second leading scorer. Adua Thiero is their leading scorer. So, I mean, that's a lot of points for a team that's still kind of playing hard. So Arkansas against South Carolina.
Yeah, and South Carolina's kind of had bad luck this year, too. So, that kind of favors into it. They've actually covered pretty good. So, that'd be what I'd look at. I've never been a big fan of Calipari. I think he's, hasn't done a lot with a lot of talent. So, what has he got? 1 title, his resume, maybe 2 or whatever it is. I wasn't impressed, being even a Kentucky fan. I wasn't real impressed with him. So, anytime I can go against Calipari, I usually like to do it.
I forget what college team last night. They sure fouled up 3 with under 10 seconds and took care of business, and won it no problem there. Was that Nickel State and Lamar last night? Might have been. But no, they hit. They were down 1. They had to foul. But there was another one last night that at the end they fouled, and it felt like 4 maybe.
Syracuse and Florida State.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Yep. They were up. They're up 3 with Syracuse, and they fouled. Leonard Hamilton done. But 200 ACC wins, 200 conference wins, and that league. They're down this year, but damn, that league has been good for a long time. And 200 win, quietly very good. In Tallahassee
for a school that had very little basketball success before he got there.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, Randy.
Didn't he start under Adolph Rupp too? I think I remember.
Did he really?
Yeah,
He did.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he was way back there.
I didn't know that.
Graduate assistant or something. Yeah, I think he's actually right on that. Yeah.
That's going back a little bit. That's going back before me and Charlie. I'm telling you, Randy, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Now you can remember that. That's very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right, big dog. You headed to Vegas next week though for the tournament.
As of right now, I'm staying in Colorado, but
okay.
Of course things might change. But I plan to be in the Rocky Mountains for the rest of March and be in Vegas in April.
There you go. Enjoy the weather, man. Enjoy the weather. It's warming up a little bit over there, huh?
Yeah, it's starting to get nice in the Rockies, and probably enjoy some trails maybe today too.
All right, Randy, we'll be around. So if you do get something that you guys like, our audience definitely appreciates when you send over and relay some of your picks that we can share with them. So thank you, buddy. Good luck to you, and we'll be in touch for sure.
All right, thanks, guys. Good luck to everybody out there.
All right, that's Randy McKay at RR39 on Twitter and X. United Community Bank with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including the newest branch at Burbank and Bluebonnet, right down the street from Walk-Ons. We've been serving the people of South Louisiana for over 50 years. Our great team of bankers, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, and Prentice Wilkes. At United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. We are here for you. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It was Kentucky. It was Joe B. Hall. He missed Rupp by 2 years, but he was on Hall staff for 12 years.
Okay.
And he was on that national championship staff in 78. He was on that Final Four staff in 84.
So he was on staff when all 10 starters filed out against LSU, double overtime.
He was very much also an NCAA runner-up in 75.
Come on, Cincinnati.
Iowa State with a 3-point lead here, 12 and a half minutes to go in the first half. Live at Walk-Ons, the original Walk-Ons week, live at Lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Going to the break at Virginia and Georgia Tech, tied at 25. Iowa State with a 6-point lead on Cincinnati. That is about 11 and a half minutes to go in the first half there. South Carolina and Arkansas going to tip here in about 5 minutes, showing Arkansas 4.5 right now. And Southern is in the SWAC tournament that's in Atlanta. They take on Grambling.
What time they tip? 1?
1 o'clock.
Yeah. 6.5-point favorites.
They are playing Grambling. Southern finished the SWAC regular season 15-3.
Yeah.
So that is in College Park, a little suburb of Atlanta there in the Gateway Center.
10:30 to 10:30 tips today, Charlie.
That last one, UC Davis, was the one Randy gave us. That is the last game of the day. That is in that's in Vegas.
They're scheduled to tip what time?
10:30.
Guess
our
what?
time.
Guess what?
They won't.
There will be some later starts than 10:30.
Probably.
I mean, what do we have? What did we have? We had a double overtime. Boy, we were on the right side, so
Cal,
no complaining for a while between us two.
No, Cal was
Cal -3.
Double overtime. It's just gonna make you sweat that thing crazy. And it's win a game by 11, right? Was it the final 9 or 11, something like that? So it worked out, but you go to overtime.
I think they dribbled it out up 8.
Yeah.
Up 8. I was trying to avoid.
It was 9. It was 9.
Yeah.
Hour number 2, straight ahead here from the original Walk-Ons, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We're calling it Walk-Ons Week here. We'll be back here at the original tomorrow as well. Conference Championship Weeks and new menu items here in March.
Man, it's available at all of the Walk-Ons. So, yeah, we had the ribeye sliders here previously. Here had the warm turkey melt across the river at the Bruley Walk-Ons. Now here at the original Walk-Ons. We're going to knock out the Havarti turkey burger today, Charlie, and tomorrow as we continue Walk-Ons Week here for Championship Week. Day matinee college hoops, the Mardi Gras salmon. So looking forward to that. Pepper Jack Boudin balls is a new menu item on the appetizer list as well. Richmond 55-54 in the Atlantic 10. Iowa State over the Cincinnati Bearcats, 22-13 in the Big 12. Halftime in the ACC, tied up. Another scoring fest in these early rounds, 25-25, Georgia Tech and Virginia.
Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from the Advocate. Rab, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm outside of my patio as well, like you guys are. Patio kind of day.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Messed with our lighting a little bit, but it's a fabulous weather thing out here on the. I'm not going to say Lanai. We're going to be out here in the covered area here at Walk-On.
Y'all are a little contrasty, but it speaks to the contrast between you and Jimmy that we often hear in the show, which makes it so entertaining.
That's just well put, man. That's just really well put. Rab, I'm going to start off asking you the first question, and I already know I'm going to ask you the same question a week from now, so I'll just start today. The health of the LSU women's basketball team is updated. Anissa Morrow went down with, I got to be honest, I was watching that game live at the time. It was a scary-looking injury, but apparently not quite as bad. And, of course, Flau'jae Johnson continuing to rest that shin injury. It'll be close to 3 weeks by the time they take the floor, depending on what day they play, since she's been sitting out. So what say you on the health of the ladies? And, again, I'm going to ask this same question a week from now.
Sure, it's definitely worth asking. All indications are that they're going to be healthy. Kim Mulkey had this. I think she spoke at yesterday at the Cox Center at the old Jim Armory, the Cox Center for student athletes in the big auditorium, with Jen Crawford, the Supreme Court correspondent for CBS News, and they were kind of asking each other questions. It was kind of an unusual event, but nonetheless, it was worth going to, and talked to Kim afterwards, and she said that, they're both going to be ready for the tournament. Yes, she said Anissa, probably could have played, if they'd played the next day, if they made it to the SEC tournament final. And then Flau'jae, they've just needed to rest her, and they've given her enough rest. So that is the word from the program. They will both be healthy and rested and ready to go. They'll play a first round game either Friday or Saturday next week. So like you said, it'll be 3 weeks for Flau'jae, and a week and a half or so for Anissa Morrow.
Did she having to play other players, did she identify any of her bench that maybe she might trust more moving on to the tournament if needed?
Well, the point guard situation, of course, is, she said it's kind of flipping a coin. It's, some games she goes with Cheyenne Wilson, some games she goes with Lastia Poa, and then the other one comes off the bench. They've kind of stuck with starting Samaya Smith. The Jersey Wolfenbarger is that big player. She's not the rebounding force that Anissa Morrow is, but she is 6'5", and she can give you some height there. And then they have Aaliyah Del Rosario, who just gives them a couple of points, a couple of rebounds a game. She can go in there and eat up some fouls and some minutes and that sort of thing. So I think but then the other guards, Kaylin Gilbert, Miracle Shepard, they are deeper in the backcourt. They can go with them. So, and Kaylin Gilbert can certainly give them a big spark offensively off the bench. So those are things. They might to that end, Jimmy. I could see them in the first round matchup against a 14 seed or a 15 seed. Else you're probably going to be a 3, so they're probably going to play a 14. Maybe limiting the minutes that Flau'jae and Anissa play. And going to the bench a little more. So I could see that definitely being a factor that LSU could use. They're definitely a deeper team. If those two players are healthy, they're definitely a deeper team going into this year's NCAA tournament than they were last year's.
Here's what I saw, Scott. When Morrow went down, Michaela Williams had 4 fouls, and, of course, Johnson was in street clothes. without those three, points were hard to come by, of course, but they played
and
defense.
Playing Texas.
And they're playing Texas. But they played – they were scrapping. They were diving on the floor. They were playing defense they were playing as hard as they could. They just didn't have anybody.
They were way more competitive than I expected with that depleted. I agree,
yes.
Charlie.
With Williams in foul trouble and Morrow, hurt, and Johnson in street clothes, they didn't have anybody who could score. But they stayed within 7 points. That was the most encouraging thing. In fact, I found myself in the fourth quarter going, you know what? I love this effort. It's fine if they lose. They could probably use the day off more, especially where Morrow is concerned, than playing again against South Carolina. And I thought they took a lot out of Texas. South Carolina blew Texas away in the final the next day.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. It was the same margin LSU lost to Texas by in Austin. They lost by 7 there, 65-58. So, yeah, it was encouraging. Look, the three losses. They got 3 losses to Texas, 2 to Texas and 1 to South Carolina, but they're all competitive games, and all games, if they'd been played in the PMAC, would have given LSU a very good chance to win. So I think they're there. I know they're probably going to drop to the 3 line when the selections are revealed on Sunday night, a little after 7:00, and so where they've been the last 3 years. They've been on the 3 line the last 3 years. And and that is 10. But I still say they're one of the 7 teams that can legitimately win the national championship. South Carolina, Texas, though I guess South Carolina a better chance than Texas. UConn, USC, UCLA, Notre Dame, and LSU. And obviously TCU with Haley Van Lith has been very good. Wouldn't shock me to see a Sweet 16 matchup between LSU and TCU set up in a regional somewhere. And then and Kansas State's been pretty good, and NC State's been pretty good. But I think they're still one of those legitimate teams. Things go right if they stay healthy and they get some good bench play. I think they can go far once again.
USC and UCLA were playing in the finals of the conference tournament. That would be the Big Ten conference tournament. If you go back 10 years and go tell yourself, go back in time 10 years and tell your 2015 self something. It's like, hey, what would blow your mind about 2025? USC and UCLA are playing in the Big Ten finals.
Exactly. I watched it.
I mean,
you know what else blew my mind, guys? You know what else blew my mind? I'm scrambling to interviews of the gymnastics meet Friday night, and I look up, and there's Jimmy Ott is in the stands.
Oh, yeah, the perfect segue. I was just going to go to that. To see you at the gymnastics meet while Brad's going through his nose.
Yeah. I'd be more likely I'm going to tennis matches like I did the week before, But, yeah, the gymnastics, I had a great time, man. I loved it.
It's obvious he was key, Scott, because the first meet he goes to is the highest score in the history of the program. Did I get that right?
I told Coach, I said, man, I was holding out for a record, man. Yeah, I wasn't coming here just for any night. Senior night and a record.
Scott, what about that meet against Georgia?
Yeah, it was tremendous. I mean, they knocked it out of the park. They had the first 10 of the season with Aaliyah Finnegan on beam, and Kaylin Chio, the fabulous freshman who's just been tremendous all year long at a 39.8. 40 is the best possible score you could have, which you can't really get, but 39.8 is really good. You could say, even Jay Clark said, they probably scoring has loosened up as the season's gone along, and maybe they were overscored a tenth here or there, but they've been underscored a lot more times than they've been overscored this season. So it was a legitimate 198 plus, and it was the best score in program history, the best score in the country, which is probably more important to this season. Oklahoma is still number 1. LSU is number 2. But they're right there. If they can maintain their health and maybe get Kalia Lincoln, another freshman, or KJ Johnson back doing some things in the NCAAs, they've got a really great chance to win again. But they're going to Auburn Friday to try to win at least a share of the SEC regular season championship. Oklahoma's at Georgia. They're both tied for first in the SEC at 6-1. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like basketball. There's a regular season trophy and there's a championship meet trophy, which is next week in Birmingham.
Well, what does Gordy Rush say about senior night?
He always hated it because it
disrupts. Well, listen, there was a lot going on with 10
disrupts
seniors.
The pregame routine.
And so I was kind of participating and kind of tagging along, so to speak, with Catherine Weilbacher and her family. And there's a lot. It was a lot for them to, put together that kind of performance. And I got to tell you, that Finnegan girl can get up in the air. I mean, I couldn't believe how high she got, Scott, on that routine, man. It was like, oh, wow, man. So it was, I want to go to wherever I'm going to see athletes do things I can't do. Scott, safely put, you and I can't do what they were doing Friday night.
No, not one bit. I guess I could make it over the vault somehow. Possibly I'd fall and hurt myself, but
you leave the vault alone, Scott.
Wouldn't look good. Wouldn't look pretty. No, wouldn't look pretty.
I could fall off of any of those apparatuses for sure. That's about it. Clark may be onto something though with this senior ceremony after the competition.
What did you think about that, Scott?
Everything's rushed in the front of it, and it disrupts your pregame routine. He may be onto something here.
Well, he said that is something mandated by the SEC. That for gymnastics anyway, that they have to do that.
The SEC made a good move. I thought it was better.
Yeah?
I thought it was better.
I thought so too. I mean, obviously you got people leaving the arena and stuff like that, but it was nice. They had a nice video and a lot of seniors too. Obviously, 10 of their 22 gymnasts are seniors, 4th, 5th, or 6th year seniors. So it was a big ceremony, but. So that would have really taken away from the start of the meet. So
I think you had more people that stuck around a little bit more than you would getting there early for it. Just my opinion.
I guess you run the risk of if you lose a game or you lose a meet, you lose more people and it kind of kills the mood. So I understand the counter argument, but it's worth exploring for other sports.
This is a senior night for. To date, the greatest run
for the gymnastics.
For the
I'm
program.
Like you did this for basketball or football. You'd run the risk of.
Really, football people would be upset if they lost.
A little bit. I got some experience on post game with this. Scott, before we let you go, we're at Brian Kelly's media availability, the last one, as they've started spring now. Your takeaways as they are a couple of days in now.
He said this is the first day in full pads, so they're kind of ramping things up. He's still trying to get a feel for. He said don't read a lot into who's with the first team or the second team right now for some of these position battles. For example, the transfer center Moore. He was running with the second team and it was still DJ Chester who was at first string center, and he's expected to move to guard. So he said, "Don't worry about some of those things." He mentioned he was asked about Josh Thompson, the transfer from Northwestern, and he said, "Yes, the quarter system has been reported. He expects to have him soon, and he could play guard or tackle. Gives him an experienced player." He was asked about, and something worth mentioning: of 3 players who are not practicing in the spring: Jacoby and Guillory, Wood Weeks, and Harold Perkins. So they're all on pace to be ready for June training. They have like 8 weeks of training that leads up to the start of fall camp. So he said they're all well on pace for that, which is obviously sounds good.
Yeah, to kind of follow up on that, I tell people all the time, spring is scripted. If you don't know anything else about spring football, know that it is scripted. They're not trying to win a game this weekend. They're not trying to plug a hole. They're trying to see what they have. And so a lot of times that means that just what he's saying, this team, this guy runs with this team, this guy runs at this position, this guy's in a matchup that they want to see if he can win. Maybe they think that he can, but they want to make sure. It's scripted. They can script success or failure any way that they want to, especially in a spring game situation. So that's for the coaches to know. That's why I've always said spring football is not a great spectator sport, because it is completely scripted by the coaches, by necessity. That's what they're supposed to do.
And let me throw one little thing he mentioned about Cal Williams, obviously the new D-line coach. He said, just getting to see him and coaching, he says he really understands the nuances of his position and communicate them effectively. So he's liked what he's seen so far. Obviously, he does say something good about Kyle Williams, but he mentioned something that he's noticed about his coaching style so far.
Yeah. Next person says something bad about Kyle Williams, be the first. Guy's a football lifer. Yeah. Rab, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
We're brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners when it comes to retirement. No two situations are alike, so Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you as well as your business partners, tax professionals, and a legal team to make sure all your goals are achieved. It doesn't matter where you are in life, no matter what your age, no matter what your financial situation, they can get together a plan for you, a lifetime plan. That's what they've done for me. more information. Contact Philip Fontenot and his staff at 337-981-1376 or online at coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Conference Championship Week continues here. Walk-Ons Week live at the original Burbank and Nicholson, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
Back here at the original Walk-Ons Week for Conference Tournament Championships.
We'll be here today and tomorrow out on the patio. Beautiful day here in the capital city. Davidson, 62-59, 243 to go. Arkansas, 19-17 over South Carolina, 11:50 mark in the first half in Nashville. Georgia Tech with a lead now in the second half. Trailed most of the first half, tied at half 25-25, now up 35-33, 14-31 mark in the second half. And Iowa State, 33-24, seconds remaining, about 15 seconds to go. Iowa State with the last shot. Wes Reynolds joins us right now. Wes, before we get to the golf for the Players' Championship, anything that we're on today for Conference Championship Week?
Yeah, a couple I'm sweating actually here early. Richmond plus 6.5. So hopefully they can find a way to hang on and have South Carolina against Arkansas for SEC tournament later today. Kind of like Georgia a little bit on the money line over Oklahoma. You're getting some taxes with some of these teams that need to win, that are on that bubble, and that they're making you pay for them. So I'd be against the Sooners late tonight down there in Nashville.
All right, so let's get to the Players' Championship. And boy, what happened? What'd you think about it? Boy, I'm not that guy. You get 4 out of 5. We we complain about the the fifth. Okay, the one loser. But what happened to Lowry? I thought he looked so good, so comfortable, man. Even when he finished the first round with a bogey, he was kind of laughing around. I mean, it looked like this thing was set up for him, and the odds board was kind of telling us he was going to be a real threat. And, man, it was rough on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. Just made a couple mistakes and never really recovered. Ended up finishing T7 on the weekend. So, yeah, I thought he was going to be there toward the end and never was. So, we regroup and see if we can get something in the Florida swing because we haven't gotten any the first 2 weeks.
Scotty Scheffler, 4-1 lead atop the leader on the odds board. Rather, who we looking at?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go with Scotty this week. If he wins at plus 450 or $5 and wins 3 in a row at the Players Championship, which is almost inconceivable because this is not like Augusta where it's pretty predictive, where the guys that always play well. This is a lot different at the Players. So you'll see guys that have good finishes, and then they'll miss the cut 2 or 3 years in a row. And that happens even to the elite guys, like the Rorys and the Xander Schauffele's and the like. So if he wins that, I'll tip my cap. But I went down a little bit. My shortest guy, I went with the big Swede, Ludwig Aubert, again, who won, of course, at Torrey Pines at the Genesis. He actually lives here in Ponte Vedra Beach, just outside of Jacksonville. So he practices and he trains right here at Sawgrass. He's played this course a ton, even though he doesn't have a lot of playing experience necessarily. Last year was his first Players where he finished tied for 8th, but played the Junior Players Championship here years ago. Drove it really well last week, even though he only finished T22. But he can raise that game in big events. So I like Ludwig. Somewhere, I think he's about 16 or 18. I got him at 20. I still think he's a take, even at the current price. Hideki Matsuyama this week. 6th year last year, 5th in 2023. And maybe I'm overplaying this, but I think he's got extra motivation. And look, everybody's motivated to win the Players. It's one of the biggest events in the game of golf. But remember back to 2020 where he had that opening round at 53 and broke the course record. And then, of course, it got canceled due to COVID-19. So he really wants this one maybe a little bit extra. He leads the tour in scrambling, 3rd for strokes gained around the green. So Matsuyama there in the high 20s. I have no statistical evidence for this one, but I'm just going to buy on a dip. I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay at 40-1. Never really has contended here. His irons have been a little better of late. Driving usually is the strength of his game. Disappointing finish last week at Bay Hill when some people started to believe in him. So now the price has gone up enough where I think he's worth a shot at 40. Also at 40, I took Shane Lowry again, going back to the well with him. He was second in greens in regulation last week, along with the eventual winner, Russell Henley. Pretty solid form here over the years. 3 top 20s in the last 4, 8th in 2021. And then Daniel Berger, once again on the card. Should have been top 10, but doubled the 18th on Sunday last week in Orlando. 65-1. Didn't play the Players the last 2 years because he was out in 2023 with that injury, and then wasn't qualified last year. So I think he's chomping at the bit. Got a couple top 10s here. So good run of form for Daniel Berger. And then Aaron Rye, who I played at 70. I think he's now in the 50s now. Good course correlation with him. Remember we were on him at the Wyndham last fall right before the FedEx Cup, and he got there for us with his first PGA Tour win. Sneaky, underrated course correlation with Sawgrass and Sedgefield, where they have the Wyndham. We've had several guys win both the Players and the Wyndham. Webb Simpson, Hendrick Stenson, Siwoo Kim, go back even further. KJ Troy, Davis Love won at both tracks. So really strong correlation. He was 4th in Mexico, 11th at Bay Hill on 2 courses that I think are a little bit long for him. This is a shorter layout, which puts premium on the iron play, which is Aaron Rye's bread and butter. And Aaron Rye also lives at Ponte Vedra Beach, so he plays and practices here a lot. And then had to have one triple-digit guy, and I settled on the Gim Reaper, Doug Gim, 120-1. Relatively quiet so far this year, but best finish of the season 2 weeks ago, T11 at Cognizant down at PGA National. 6th on approach, 9th for strokes gained tee to green so far this season. Had a couple good showings here at the Players, 6th in 2022, 16th here last year. So just looking for a guy that can maybe at least hit the board on the weekend at a big price and at least be there. Hopefully we can monetize a little way like we had to last year when we had 2 of the 3 runner-ups with Schauffele and Harmon, and then had to buy out with Scotty, of course, on Sunday.
Here are our local sportsbook DraftKings outlet. The Queen has the odds for Wes's picks. Oberg at 16-1, Matsuyama 30-1, Cantley and Lowry both 40-1. Aaron Rye, I thought he was going to lead. And I think he was the live favorite at one point in that Mexico event, 70-1, and then Gim 100-1. Max, thoughts?
So he's got Berger, Rye, and Gim. Literally the last 3 names that were ruled off my card, but I'm right there with them. Good drive percentage is a stat that we use a lot this week. It measures either did you hit the fairway or did you end up hitting the green in regulation, so were you not in trouble off the tee to where you couldn't get it on the green. All 3 of those players in the top 6 in the last 50 rounds in this field. So Berger's first in the field, Rye's second, and Doug Gim 6th. So I will play Doug Gim on a top 20. I might play a couple of those other guys in placements as well, but didn't quite get there, but barely. Love Berger, Rye, and Gim as well there.
Wes, we talked about Lowry on Saturday, but what about Morikawa on Sunday, where the leaderboard was stuck? It seemed like he was at -11 and Henley at -8 for hours. And then, now they were paired together. Did you think he played too safe? What's your thoughts? Did he lose it? Henley win it on Morikawa Sunday?
I don't want to discredit Henley because that was a great chip on 16, and he had been close, a lot of times over recent years. I think he and Morikawa, along with Sungjae Im, were at the top of the list since 2024, since the beginning of that calendar year, for most top 10s on the PGA Tour without a victory. But, yeah, with Morikawa, who I understand why people are backing him this week. I couldn't get there on the price. I think he should have been 20-1. He was like 25-1 at Bay Hill last week. So now you're getting him in kind of the low teens. I've seen him out here as low as like 11-1. No thank you on the price. He could certainly win, and I understand why people are backing him. But, Colin Morikawa is a guy, he's got to get there. If you're an elite player, you've got to find a way to finish that off. And the elite players, the Scotties and the Xanders and the Rory, they find ways to finish that off. Rahm, when he was at his peak back on the PGA Tour, they find ways to finish that. And Colin Morikawa has just been really disappointing. And look, watch him win this week when I don't have him. But, he's got to find a way to finish that off in a big-time event like that.
Wasn't that his kind of that was his calling card, because early in his career he was finishing off those big tournaments, and not lately, but early in his career when he busted out and hit, wins 2 majors right out of the chute. What was that, his second year on the tour, I think?
Well, the U.S. Open was kind of in a home course in the Bay Area,
PGA,
where he went to school at Cal. So, and was the other one?
The other one was
the
the British
Championship.
The British. That's right. That was when he had
Yeah.
such a horrible practice rounds, or the week
Yeah,
before.
he was saying he
The
couldn't hit off
Scottish.
of the
He
turf.
went to the Scottish and blew it up. He'd never played links golf before.
Yeah. So, Wes, I had Ohio State Saturday. I want to cry about that, but did you Hoosiers sew up a bid? Can they afford an early round loss for the Big Ten tournament?
I think that they're probably in, but look, beat Oregon tomorrow in the 8-9, and I think that is locked with the capital L to get a good quad 1 win there. And look, I was proud of Indiana, the way they fought. Look, I embraced the coaching change. I think it needed to happen, but this team hadn't given in. And then, give credit. I was very happy for Trey Galloway, who's been through the ringer a little bit, a senior, to hit that YOLO 3 there that really put Ohio State away. But I think Indiana probably is still in. You don't want to play it safe necessarily. Ohio State is the team in the Big Ten tournament that may need 1 win, and they might get it tonight over Iowa. And then I think that they're going to be in, because some of these teams are going to lose. Some of these teams that are on that last 4 in, first 4 out, they're going to lose. But when I compare Indiana to some of these other bubble teams, like in North Carolina, who I think needs multiple wins in Charlotte in the ACC tournament, they've got 1 quad 1 win. And at least Indiana's beaten a few teams. At least they've swept Ohio State and won at Michigan State, the Big Ten champion, beat Purdue. Some of these teams like North Carolina they get the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think that they should.
Yeah, they've got, it's amazing, Wes, they've got 1 quad 1 win. Indiana's got 4, yet when you look at the overall at the net, Carolina's got a clear edge there at 40 as opposed to Indiana's 52. I'm right there with you with North Carolina. It's amazing to see they only got 1 quad 1 win, but the discrepancy in the net, is what's confusing.
The margin of victory plays into that too, and I compare them to some of the SEC teams. It's like North Carolina shouldn't be in over Arkansas or shouldn't be in over Georgia. Like those teams have beaten real teams, so. We'll see what they pull out there in the ACC tournament, but I think they're getting a little bit of benefit of the doubt right now.
And if timing matters to you, that quad 1 win was before Christmas, so it's not anything that's happened recently.
Yeah, no question about it. So we shall see. Xavier is another team that I think to win and in tomorrow if they can beat Marquette. I actually think they might make a run in the Big East tournament, by the way, if you're playing some conference tournament futures. You can get them double digits. They beat Marquette. I think St. John's could be ripe for the picking here. And I was like I was with the rest of the world on Marquette on Saturday, where it's like, okay, maybe we're going to get bailed out here in double overtime. Kid throws the ball away. St. John's has just been doing that all year, finding ways to win, hit it at the buzzer. So they're rolling right now. Defense leaves a little bit to be desired.
All right, Spiders hit a 3, so you're down to 2 with 15 seconds to go. Wes, I think you might be safe here.
No overtime.
That's right. No, I guess we can avoid overtime.
You never want to lose the first play of the day. That always sucks.
Good luck to you, Wes. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So it's coming down to the end. 15 seconds. So is Richmond going to the line? Is that right? Did Davidson foul them? So Davidson turned the ball over?
Surrender Cobra from the Davidson coach suggests, yes, they did foul him.
Okay, so they were inbound the ball. Oh, here we go. The old, we can't inbound the ball. So they threw it away, and now Richmond has the ball down 2 with 15 seconds to go. So they were just up 5. Richmond hits a 3. Turnover, and there we go.
I thought you said Spider. You're all right, Spider. No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, Spiders? Yeah. There's your movie stuff, boy.
Yeah, that's fun.
A 3 is off the iron, no good. Davidson with the rebound, and they are fouled with 2 seconds to go. So this line went off about 5.5, 6.5 in that range. Richmond is going to cover. but Davidson is going to hold on for the win. Don't forget our Workbox. You hear me talking about Workbox and Martin Padial's crew, for all of you movable storage needs, commercial or residential. And residential, we call them the home boxes. The home boxes are, for storage or for moving. Man, it makes so much. So you got to get all your stuff out, but then you load it up, and then Workbox moves it for you. So you could take your time. You could be at your house for, a week or so, and you can kind of move it at your own pace where you don't wear yourself out. And then when they transport it, well, you can unload it and on your way. So Workbox services, again, for all of your movable storage needs, commercial or residential. And these units can be customized for any type of, from hunting blinds to workshops, to offices, to lunchrooms, you name it, and we've got it all. Give my buddy Martin Padial on Workbox a call at 343-4886 and WorkboxLLC.com. When we come back, it is the Dana Brown at the law office of O.C. Brown Golf Consensus Picks and Max's Picks as well.
Live at the original Walk-Ons Week, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our Wednesday consensus golf picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
All right, update before we get to Max's picks and then recap with the consensus picks. Iowa State 36-27, 18.5 to go in the game there. Arkansas pulling out a little bit, was up to 9. It's at 6 right now, 32-26, 5:25 to go in the first half. Final from Davidson, it was 69-65 over Richmond, so they win but do not cover. And what is the
Georgia Tech's up 10 on Virginia.
Georgia Tech up 10.
51-41 with just under 7 minutes to go.
All right, so it was not a consensus pick, but our buddy Jeff he did have Henley, and so he's got Henley again. He's got Ludwig Oberg, so he and Wes are on the same page there. Sepp Straka, Berger is he and Wes have. Berger with the Florida resident. Wes said he was going to pick him every week in the Florida swing, and he has Michael Kim and then Nick Taylor. Max, you're up.
All right, so I'm going to start off my card with someone who I really didn't like the way he finished last week, and that's Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa is 14-1 right now over at the DraftKings Sportsbook at the Queen. Since this tournament has moved to May, or from May to March back in 2019, we've seen 5 winners all inside the top 10 of the world golf rankings. Rory, Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, and Scheffler the back-to-back times. So we've seen good winners here since they've moved it to March. The course plays a little bit differently. And kind of like Cam Smith in 2022, and if you remember last year I had Xander Schauffele that I bet, who ultimately didn't break through here at the Players but did get 2 majors. I kind of see this as an opportunity, a 5th major, not exactly, but it's not a major. It doesn't come with that type of pressure, but it's also a big enough event to where a guy like Colin Morikawa, who does have 2 majors but hasn't won in quite some time, an opportunity to break through once again. So Morikawa, he's playing elite golf. That's the one thing we've seen of the winners over the Players. They do show form coming in. They don't just pop off at random. All the winners tend to have good performances as of right the lead into the tournament, and Morikawa certainly has that, not just the runner-up finish last week where he had the worst end of the draw on Thursday. Jimmy, if you remember, the wind was a real factor on the Thursday round. He played off in the morning when the wind was blowing a little bit harder, so probably should have had two more strokes to his name and would have won the tournament, but also finished runner-up at the Century back in January. So Morikawa, someone who finds fairways, should play well here. Hasn't had great performances here, but hasn't putted well. Maybe his putter will pop off. I mean, Scotty Scheffler didn't putt well here last year and still won. So Colin Morikawa at 14-1. That certainly limits my card because when you go that low down the odds board, not as many players you can have. Tommy Fleetwood, 30-1. I'm going to go back to him. Sure, yes, he didn't win once again. He's the serial loser, as I called him last week, but maybe this is his opportunity to break through. He's hitting the ball better than anyone with his irons right now. In the last 50 rounds, he's hitting the ball number 1 in this field in approach. Finished tied for 11th last week at the Arnold Palmer and did get the worst end of the draw. Had a tough first round in that wind 5 over par, but otherwise played really well. Also 5th place at the Genesis at Torrey Pines. So he's in great form. Maybe he can break through with his first win in the United States. Michael Kim, 85-1 right now. I'm just going to go off of form here, Jimmy. I picked him last week. He finished 4th place. Again, he had one of the worst draws going off in the morning on Thursday. He has gotten top 15 finishes in his last 5 starts, and he's just hitting the ball well. He has no real good experience here at the Players, but I'm just going to ride experience. He's hitting the ball excellent, just from tee to green and even putting well. So Michael Kim at 85-1. A couple bombs as well. Nick Taylor, 130-1. Just someone who I play a lot because when he gets in the mix, he doesn't shy away. He's got a win already at the Sony Open early this year. He's got a few wins. He won the Phoenix Open last year. That's a pretty big boy event. Not quite to the Players level, but his iron play has been exceptional. Also doesn't hit the ball very far, which isn't penalized as much here. Kind of see, you can see an older player win here because distance isn't the most important factor. You got to find these fairways, avoid the water off the tee, and he certainly does that. So Nick Taylor, the Canadian, 130-1. And then a real bomb here. Joel Damon, 225-1. Someone who just finds fairways, makes things happen, and in his last 5 starts, really good on approach. Going to have to find the short game and the putter, but again, we tend to see at the Players, if there's one weakness you can have, it can be that short game area. So maybe Joel Damon pops off, makes that big performance. People know him from Full Swing on Netflix, but Joel Damon, 225-1. And I know, just to throw this in there, Wes had Doug Gim at 150-1. I don't have him outright, but I do have him in the top 20 markets, including ties. He's plus 350 right now. So Doug Gim has always played well. Finished 6th here back in 2022 when he had no real form coming in and missed 3 straight cuts. So I think he can pop off here once again with better form.
All right.
You know what I love about Max is his positive attitude every day. Only Max can say, this serial loser, let me tell you why I like him. I mean, the ultimate optimist here. It's
Yes.
great.
All right, so here are your consensus picks brought to you by our friends at Dana Brown. So Ludwig Oberg, he is down the street at the Queen at the DraftKings outlet. He is 16-1. Michael Kim, the best odds you can get on him is 75-1. Boy, he's been consistent, huh, Max?
He has.
I mean, his form is fine right now.
Yeah, and
what's the one where he's really, you thought he might have won? He was going to win. He was really in the contention on Sunday.
Berger?
No, Kim.
Oh, Michael Kim. Well, I thought he had a bit of a chance for time last week.
For last weekend?
But the Phoenix Open, he was tied for second as well.
Okay. Nick Taylor at 110-1. That's your sudden death guy when I was in Tuscaloosa, huh? Is that the one?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay. 18, did he chip in to send it into?
He did, just to get to a playoff, but he's got that pedigree.
All right, well, Taylor, 110-1 down the street at the Queen at the DraftKings outlet. And in Berger, that son of a gun Berger was it was the first one in Florida, huh? I mean, they loved it. He was a short price live. I mean, they were really favoring him. He must have been a very popular pick.
He was extremely popular, one of the most popular picks you'll ever see, and unfortunately kind of faded on the weekend, 70-72 at the Cognizant Classic. That was at Jack's course in the Palm Beaches.
Yeah, at Palm Beach. So the first one of the Florida swing, right?
Yes.
Okay, and it's our last one, right, this week?
No, I think we get the Valspar next week.
Oh, no, okay.
So there's 4 or 5 events.
Not this type of field.
No.
Okay. And then Gim, split it up a little bit, maybe take a little bit. But what's the best price on top 10 or top 20?
Top 20, I'm
top
playing
20?
At plus 350. That's including ties over at MGM, but there's a lot of ways to get down on him. I always advise to include ties when these placement points, because if you have like a 10-way tie for 19th, you'll get paid in full rather than it getting split up a whole bunch of ways. So I think if you're going to have a 4-day sweat, you might as well get your whole payout if you're going to make it worthwhile.
All right. Brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Anything slip and fall, any type of injuries, DWI, DUI, traffic tickets, criminal law, car accidents. Car accidents, I can speak firsthand on the car accidents. I got girl pulled in front of me, so I had to swerve off the road, totaled my car, and, the great thing is you just don't know what to do. You don't know. You see the doctor, see this, whatever. Well, Dana, they take care of everything. They take everything, and they set up the appointment with the doctor, and they set up the appointment if you have to go here. So you're not wasting any time. It does make it way more convenient to have somebody handle everything for you. So, and that's what they do when you get in any type of traffic accident. So I can speak firsthand on that. 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. Our Golf Consensus Picks brought to you by the law offices of O.C. Brown.
Come back to wrap up the show here and get you updated on all the games going on here. Championship week, walk-ons week, live at lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Davidson, a winner over Richmond, did not cover. They won that game by 4. Georgia Tech with an 11-point lead, 2 minutes to go over Virginia. That's 59-48. Arkansas has opened up 17 now. This one getting away from South Carolina in the final minutes of the first half. Iowa State leads by 7 over Cincinnati, 14:40 to go in the contest there. And Rice leads Charlotte 34-22. That is in the first half. The Southern Jaguars and Grambling go at the top of the hour. That's from the Gateway Center in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. LSU tonight, 6 o'clock start against Mississippi State. Bulldogs an 8.5-point favorite is what I'm seeing right now over LSU. Maybe the end of the season for LSU if they lose. Depends on what happens in the NCAA tournament. Remember, the top 2 teams in the SEC that don't make the NCAAs make the NIT automatically. So if 13 teams out of the SEC make it, LSU would have a game next week. So we'll see if what happens there. Jimmy, rest of the day. What's your favorite with what we got coming up? You want to think about that for a minute? I got something on.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what I'm going to play the rest of the day. All of those teams that have to have wins, those bubble teams, I'm going against all of them. With the value added, that means Notre Dame plus 10.5 against North Carolina, Vandy minus 2.5 against Texas, Iowa plus 5.5 against Ohio State, and Georgia minus 3.5 against Oklahoma. I'm going to take. Do
you want to include South Carolina in there?
I took Arkansas earlier today before the game started just because South Carolina's been so bad on the road. They've been
on the road.
Away from home. They've just been so bad that I went with Arkansas. So I'm not gonna change. I don't know what was the live line. They're down 17.
It's ugly.
So no, I didn't do that earlier just because of South Carolina's inefficiency away from Columbia. But I'm going to take the other 4. See how they go. 17 at the half. Arkansas 47-30. That's going to the break.
McNeese 12.5 in their championship game tonight against Lamar. Any runaway there?
Man, they came out, and like we were talking yesterday, supposedly a more talented team on paper, but not quite that hunger, that nastiness. Oh, they came out in the first 10 minutes and built a 20-point lead a bit. And then it kind of settled down, and Northwestern State got it down to 4 very late. And so they didn't cover. So, no, that's a big one. Lamar, also a game under the – I think that's a little high.
Thanks to the folks here at Walk-Ons. We'll be here tomorrow as well. Come by and watch all the games, get some great food and drinks, and watch all the games out here on the patio. Tomorrow we're right back here. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodaux Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. If you're feeling this weather and it's time to start getting out in the yard, getting in the garden and get it up to speed, let the Thibodaux Store help you out. Online specials right now on turf builders and fertilizer, on garden hoses, 40% off. All of your select lawn and garden tools are on special right now on the website. A lot of these items are available for delivery. Potting and topsoil is available for you too. And of course, once you get the yard, you want to be outside, get the perfect grill. Find the perfect grill. You can shop among multiple brands on the website at ThibodauxStore.com. Also, Big Green Egg cookers are available to you. Cajun cookware, the specialty cookware, shipped right to your door. ThibodauxStore.com.
Big Eggs, the Big Eggs first maiden voyage yesterday.
Yeah.
Wings, bam!
Very.
Totally different level of wings now, baby, with the Big Egg.
900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, the Thibodaux Store.